Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Melina Messing. I'm the Scientific Director of the Ren-Nu program at Santa Barbara Nutrients, and the Ren-Nu program is our lifestyle and nutrition program for patients with polycystic kidney disease. And it is my great pleasure today to talk to Bret Russell. Bret Russell has so many connections to SBN. He is a longtime friend of the company, one of our earliest Keto Citra customers and users. And he also has had a great involvement in the PKD community because he is a PKD patient. He has been the former member of the PKD Foundation board, and he's also currently an angel investor of SBN. So first of all, thank you so much for all you've done for the PKD community. It is so amazing to have people like you that make any sort of advancement in the field possible. And I'm so excited also that you're here today and I get to pick your brain a little bit on your experience with Keto Citra and with PKD in general. So welcome, Bret.
Well, thank you so much. And your introduction was too kind. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm blushing here on the screen. And by the way, congratulations to you for being the recipient of the 2025 Jared J. Grantham Research Fellowship Award from the American Society of Nephrology and the PKD Foundation. You have big footsteps you're following here, and Jared Grantham. But I think the work you're doing, looking in the metabolism of PKD and potential dietary intervention, is very exciting. So, again, my hat's off to you.
Thank you so much. It is indeed big shoes to fill, and I hope I can do it justice. Well, why don't we start a little bit about your who you are, what you've done in life, and your experience with both your career and your path in that area, but also your experience with PKD.
Sure. Well, my experience with PKD dates back to from my birth. My mother had PKD, and she got it from her father. My mother's brother went to end-stage renal disease in his early 30s and was one of the first people to be on home dialysis. This would have been in the early 1960s. And so that was a vivid experience for me, seeing him go through that process. And my mother had lifelong, was affected by pain for her life, and had a number of extra renal manifestations of the disease, including she died from a ruptured cerebral aneurysm. So I always say PKD is the gift that keeps on giving, because it affects the whole body. It's not just the kidneys. So I've seen that in my own body with the way it's affected various things. But I'm very excited about the prospect for therapies for at least dealing with the most obvious manifestation, the progression of the disease in the kidneys and going to end-stage renal disease. So in any event, so I've been dealing with the disease for a long time. It didn't really affect me in terms of my life and my career. There is so much variability in the disease. Even though if you have the same genetic defect, for some people it affects in a more severe way than others, and has different symptoms. So I guess I'm fortunate that I had never had reached the stage where I've had to go on dialysis. At least knock on wood, not yet. And so I've had fairly decent kidney function, but one of the things that one's concerned about is, do you want the world to know that you've got the disease? especially if you're in a kind of a setting where I was in terms of private equity investment banking. You've got people investing tens of or hundreds of millions of dollars in you and in your team, and you don't want to plant a seed that, gee, I've got this disease, and they don't really understand what it is and how it could affect you. So I was pretty much in the closet through my career. And my career was starting out in investment banking and moving into private equity, where I managed several funds over the decades. But upon my retirement, I no longer am bound by any of those concerns. And also, I think the world is a little more open-minded today in terms of people's situations. So if I were starting out today, I might not exactly have the same concern that I did 40 years ago. But all that being said, nowadays, I'm in retirement. I enjoy restoring antique airplanes to flying condition. So that's how I spend a lot of my time.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's a way to keep me young by working on these planes that are some are over 100 years old, and so that's a lot of fun. And the other thing that I do as time permits is to to go on medical mission trips where I'm an operating room tech. So I'm going to Cambodia
Wow.
this week on a surgical mission trip. So that's very fulfilling to me. So that's how I spend my time, and staying busy and active. Maybe not quite as active as I used to be, but but it keeps me occupied.
That's a really fascinating set of activities. I almost want to ask you so many questions about those hobbies. They sound so interesting. But since we have a specific topic today, maybe I'll ask you off camera. But
Sure.
so you said you were in private equity. Can you talk a little bit about this career path for those who may not know what that actually means?
Well, yeah. So I started off my life in the investment banking world, working for an investment bank in New York City, where we were working with all sorts of different companies domestically and internationally to help them uh, uh, figure out their capital structures, helping them to raise debt and equity financing, uh, strategic direction, mergers and acquisitions, and divestitures. Um, Really, a whole panoply of ways that we were assisting our clients with their financial matters. Uh, in the early to mid 80s, I moved into more on the investing side of the business in what's called private equity. And in the scenario that I was involved with, we had pension funds and endowments and so on invest in a fund that we managed, and the fund purchased different types of manufacturing, service, and distribution businesses with the goal of improving the business over a 5 year or so time frame to the point where it became a more valuable business, and then would ultimately be sold or recapitalized. Uh, and so we would make our reward upon that exit event, and then return the money to our investors. And then we would also continue on acquiring other businesses and doing the same process. Uh, so that was my career for 30 plus years, and in several different settings. The last setting was where we managed, myself and my team managed a private equity fund that was backed by a major Japanese company that was interested in seeing if we could produce not only financial returns, but also bring some of their strategic resources to our portfolio companies to improve their performance. So anyway, so that's what I did in the private equity world.
Wonderful. Thank you. That sounds like one hell of a career. Obviously, I know you're investing in SBN, so it sounds like you're still having the benefits of having such a successful career, even post retirement. So that's really great. Speaking of SBN, how did you first come about this research that Thomas Wimes is doing and SBN? How did that connection get established in the first place?
Well, a former colleague of mine from the PKD Foundation told me about SBN, and that's the so that was probably 5 years ago at this point, and so I learned a lot about Thomas and what he was doing and his lab and some of the research that they were doing, and the results were very exciting to me. Pointing the way toward potential therapies for PKD. And when I was involved with the foundation, the PKD Foundation, for 10 years, which was from roughly 91 to 2001, I want to say, and I was treasurer for about 7 of those years. But that was a very exciting time also in the development of knowledge, the knowledge base about PKD. It was just the knowledge was exploding about what it was, and the finding the genes and so on and so forth, and really starting to understand the how the disease worked. And the foundation was very successful at investing in promising research and researchers, and providing kind of seed funding for a lot of the people that are now very senior in the research world, studying and trying to help point the way toward therapies for the disease. So when I heard about SBN and the approach that was being taken here, which was quite different than what what we would see at the foundation. I thought that was very exciting and promising and worthy of investing. To see if we could really do something important to the fight against PKD.
Yes, wonderful. Yeah, it's always when there's a new direction, it's hard to get that off the ground. It's often patient-driven grassroots movement type situation. So, as I said at the beginning, people like you make it possible. So I really, really appreciate it. I myself have followed the lifestyle and been taking Keto Citra as well for years now, and it's been life-changing for me. So I really appreciate your work and your dedication to being open to new directions that come up in the field. I really appreciate that, which comes from probably having such long-standing experience and having seen all kinds of angles and how people have approached the disease, right? I would assume.
Yes. Saw lots of things, and also I was involved for several years with the Defense Department, CDMRP, where they would, review. So I was a reviewer in that. So that was also eye-opening, just to see how the other side of this operation, so to speak, where the scientists are there debating, the research, and I just saw a lot of different proposals. So So it just was a way to advance my knowledge of not only the disease, but kind of the process that is undergone to vet these proposals.
Yeah, wonderful. I would like to now learn a little bit more about your experience with Keto Citra, because as I mentioned at the beginning, you're one of the earliest customers. I think right when the product came out, you started using it. And so you have now year-long experience with taking it. And I would just like to hear, how has that been going for you? And how do you take it? How do you tolerate it? Just give me
Sure.
the picture, big
So
picture.
yeah, uh, so the Keto Citra is one part of the puzzle, and so it's not just Keto Citra; it's also the lifestyle changes, and so I haven't done what I would call dramatic changes to my diet and lifestyle, but I've become more knowledgeable about some of the dietary issues. For example, oxalates. I had no idea what an oxalate was, and I love to eat spinach and I love to eat rhubarb, and all these things that are not good for your kidneys. So some dietary modifications there, uh, reducing red meat intake, uh, uh, reducing the carbs, being uh, uh, not as rigorous as or exerciser as I used to be, but being active, watching the salt, and so on and so forth. So there are a number of dietary things in addition to the Keto Citra. Also, time restricted diet. So I'm on a 8 hours on, 16 hours off. And every now and then I'll fast for a whole day to kind of clean out the system. So again, these are not major difficult changes, but there are a lot of little things you can do. I want to say that genetics is not destiny. So genetics, of course, we're all dealing with the genes we have, but especially with this disease, and there's a lot of variability person to person, but there are a lot of things that one can do to uh, 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 reduce the effect of the disease, to improve what otherwise would just be a steadily declining filtration rate. And so there's diet, there's time restricted fasting, and then there's Keto Citra, learning about what the effects of beta hydroxybutyrate and citrate and so on and so forth. These were all things that I became aware of through SBN. So I've started on Keto Citra. It's been almost 4 years ago, I guess, at this point, and I've tolerated it very well. I have it uh, when I have lunch and when I have dinner, and I'd say the one thing it tastes great. You just mix it up, and you just kind of sip it as you're eating, and so on. I have a big thermos that I use, and um, so it's just becomes part of your routine. And the only issue that I've had with it is if you if you if you really if it's important to titrate it, so you're not drinking it all at once. Um, if Because you can have it can have a laxative effect, or it can have turn your stools into kind of a mushy mess. If 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 you chug it down, if you were to chug a whole thing of it at once, I wouldn't recommend that. But as long as you titrate it, and so you're just drinking a little bit, eating, drinking, eating, drinking, it's no problem. And so it's just part of my lifestyle now. So and the good news is, since I've been on it, my total kidney volume, which is the marker now that seems to be accepted among nephrology community for the progression of the disease, has actually decreased. And uh, so, hey, that's all good. And I guess the other thing is that I do drink more liquids now than I used to also. So I'm trying to drink between 2 and 3 liters a day. That's a lot of liquid, lots of water. But I don't always hit that mark. But again, it's something you're aware of. You're conscious of it. So I do like to drink more water, and just having that Keto Citra is part of that process, because by doing that, I'm getting uh, at least 1.5 liters of water a day just by drinking the Keto Citra.
Yeah, I do want to highlight that point one more time, that your kidney volume has decreased. That is fantastic. That is obviously, that's what every PKD patient wants to hear, right? That there's a way to decrease the kidney volume. It's the experience of several patients now that I'm in touch with. So it's just awesome to hear that. It's just so different from what you used to when you first go to a nephrologist, right? And you get diagnosed, and it's just, well, you just have to sit there and wait for it to, whenever that is for you, and to hear someone have this amount of success and is with doing something that isn't a drug that is very invasive and has a lot of side effects is really, really awesome to hear.
Yeah, and I'm very pleased with that. The ingredients in Keto Citra are have been shown to not to be harmful to humans. The nephrology communities seem to be slow accepting it because you don't have the gold-plated, double-blinded clinical trials and so on.
Yeah.
Some of that work's underway, and hopefully we'll see some nice results. But all I know is that it's worked for me. So it's one of those things. Why not give it a try? My goodness, it there's really no downside, and there's lots of upside. So when my former nephrologist retired, I went to going to a new nephrologist, and he looked at my numbers and was just blown away by it. He said, "This is amazing. I wish every patient I had was like this." So that's a good thing. So I'm a firm believer in Keto Citra, at least in terms of how it's worked for me, and so I would strongly urge others to give it a try.
Yeah, same here. I've been taking it now for about 2.5 years, so a little shorter than you have, but getting up there in the years, and it's been absolutely the best thing. It has solved a lot of PKD side effects that I had before. So I'm really, really pleased with it, and I tolerate it also really well. So it's always great to hear from people people when they first started, they always have this concern, well, is this going to be good for me in the long term? Can I really take this twice a day for such a, like, forever, ideally, right? And I mean, the company is only 5 years old. The product is out for 4 years now, and that's how far we can look, right? But knowing that you have been taking it for 4 years and it's been just only positive, and your kidney volume is smaller, is just really, really awesome. Really awesome to hear. So thanks for sharing that. It's really important to share.
Oh, sure. And I take it with me everywhere I go. So again, it's so easy. You just, put a scoop in the thermos, fix it with water. I put a little ice in it, and it's like it's a very refreshing drink. So that's
Yeah. It helps that it tastes good, for sure.
yeah, yes.
That was already really great to hear. The last thing for this interview that I wanted to touch on is, as I mentioned at the beginning, that you're investing in SBN and into the company's mission, and I just would like to hear kind of your personal philosophy on philanthropy, and how do you approach this in general?
Well, in my investing career, I we were investing in more mature businesses, that had revenues anywhere from 30 to $400 million. So these were more, established businesses. However, I also invested alongside some venture capital funds, and I could see what they were doing, and um, and the the um, the investments on the VC side were quite different and quite exciting in their own way, because especially these early stage companies, um, the probability of hitting a home run is not great, but uh, the work they were doing was cutting edge in any number of ways, whether or not we're talking about uh, biosciences or whatever. And I think Santa Barbara Nutrients is one of those companies where they have a new idea, uh, they have some great science behind it, and uh, and it's worth risking capital to see if it works or not. In many respects, it's philanthropy as much as it is investing with Santa Barbara Nutrients. I'm not doing it just for me. I'm 70 plus years old, but I'm doing it for my kids and grandkids. So that was the driving force of a lot of behind many of the donors to the PKD Foundation. And I think that carries over into SBN. We're not just doing it for ourselves, but for our families and our kids and grandkids. So my philosophy with respect to SBN is, you've got good people, an exciting opportunity, some good science. So, let's roll the dice and see if we can make it work.
Thank you so much for that. I totally agree. It is not for just for us. It is for all of our family members and the rest of the PKD community that are
Sure.
affected. So, again, I really, really appreciate that you are using your time and your resources to help move this field forward. Can't stress enough how important that is and how grateful we all are for people like you. So thank you so much. That is all the questions I had today. Do you have anything else you would like to share with the audience?
No, unless you want to hear more about restoring World War I airplanes.
Well, why don't you give us just a small little look into, well, both of the plane activity and also the surgical missions, because both of that sounds amazing. So maybe just like whatever you think is like the highlights, please share them.
I volunteer with a museum. It's in Hood River, Oregon, called the Western Antique Aeroplane and Automobile Museum. And we have about 150 antique airplanes, about 180 cars. And the hallmark of the museum is that all the planes are airworthy and the cars are roadworthy. So we have a very active restoration effort. So at any given time, we're working on 2, 3, 4, 5 planes, bringing them back to life, so they can again be flying, and which is what they were always meant to do. So that's a lot of fun. And on the medical mission side, I work with an outfit called Medical Ministry International out of Toronto, Canada. It's a faith-based group that provides medical support around the world, and I typically am going to Asia, most often to Cambodia, for these surgical trips, where we'll have a group of volunteer doctors, nurses, techs from U.S., Canada, and the Philippines, most often on these trips, and we'll be there for 2 to 3 weeks and doing nonstop surgeries, and really life changing for the peoples there that otherwise would not be able to get this kind of medical care. So that's a worthwhile effort, and I'm pleased to do that, as well as restoring old airplanes.
Yeah, that's so great. How did you, coming from the investment world, how did you get involved into the surgical missions? How does that happen? Did you have like some sort of training, I guess, in this area?
No, well, my undergraduate degree was in bioengineering, but so I've always had an interest in in that sort of thing. But no, it was really through a connection through a friend of a friend of a friend, so that I learned about this, and I happened to see I happened to be in India visiting with uh, a, uh, uh, a fellow that my wife and I have supported over the years in terms of his work. And one of the things he does is he sponsors medical missions at his healthcare center. And so that was how I found this organization. And I thought, you know what, I could do that. So I jumped in with both feet, and now I do it.
Amazing, amazing. That is it's just like you're probably one of the most well-rounded individuals I've ever gotten the pleasure of interviewing. It's really, really interesting, every part of your life.
I'm blushing again. So,
Well, that's come full circle. It's how we started, and now it's how we're going to end the interview. So,
well, I appreciate
um,
your time and all the work you're doing in the fight against PKD. And again, I think the uh, looking at it from this angle of metabolism and diet and lifestyle, I think is all very exciting um, and and worthwhile. So I appreciate your efforts and the efforts of your team.
thank you so much, and thank you so much for being here today, for talking to me. It was delightful, and yeah, I. Maybe we'll have another chat in the future sometime. And in the meantime, we'll of course stay in touch. And thank you to the audience today for watching this video. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.